Hey guys, welcome back to On the Level. This guy has impacted lots of people across the planet over the last 8 or 9 years. Travis Rosser is here. He is the co-founder of Kajabi. First of all, Travis, thanks for being here
Yeah,
in the morning.
I'm excited. Thanks a lot. It's cool to be on here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So let me tell you a little bit about Travis. He's a co-founder of Kajabi, if you're not familiar. It's an online content management system, commerce. Basically, it takes the things in your head, puts it out. Responsible for over $500 million in sales at last report that I saw. And most importantly, he is also the author of You Inc. Step-by-Step Guide for Finding a Business Within You. I read this book, and it really changed the way I thought. It really changed my confidence level. I'll be honest, Travis. So thank you for being here and writing that book.
Very cool.
I'm going to dive right in. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So my first observation was there is a really big correlation between what you did at Kajabi and what you're doing with You Inc., the book and the speaking and everything you're doing around that.
Yeah,
For me, it kind of gets into the ability of letting people know that they've got more in them than they think.
that's right.
And do you truly believe that everyone has the ability to monetize what they know?
I think everybody has the ability to help someone else with what they know. That is guaranteed for sure. Not everybody can monetize. There's no doubt that some people are going to find the same satisfaction from just helping people based on their knowledge and never worrying about if they made a dollar from it. And that's great. My focus is if you can, you should monetize from what you know, because then you can help more people. You're going to have more resources yourself, so you can go more places and it'll change your life. And I'm all about if you can make money from it and it's helping other people, it's a powerful opportunity. So
Yeah, I agree with that too. And you say in the book, one of the quotes that really stuck out because it hit me, and I had to pause when I read this because, being a coach and investor and doing the things that that I do, it really brought pause. In the book, you say people are reluctant to charge money to help other people. Why
yeah,
do you think that is?
they probably don't hold it in enough value. I don't think we value what we know. We take it for granted, especially things that come easy to us. Uh, that's probably the best place to start. If you're like, I don't have anything that I could share, I'm not an expert in anything. If there are things that come easy to you, you're probably an expert in that. And if people are like asking you all the time, hey, can you help me with this? Or how did you overcome that? You're starting to connect the dots of where there's knowledge. And the biggest thing is if you can get to the point where you charge anything for your knowledge, that's why I'm all about if you can make $100 at Kajabi, if you made $1,000, you were a Kajabi hero. And that's because once you make money doing this, the momentum and like the energy that you get from it is powerful. It's like a runaway freight train once you get going.
It's funny because I would use Kajabi a lot, and the biggest milestone for me was that Kajabi hero, that first $1,000.
Yeah. Yep.
And the people I run with, it became this sort of competition. Do you have your shirt yet? Do you have your shirt? Do you have your shirt?
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
And it was really it's almost gamified it, but it also made us realize that if we can do 1,000, we can do 10.
That's right.
And that if we help people at 1,000 level, we can certainly help people at 10,000 level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the genius behind it. You
Yep.
talk about being an expert, and in the book, you also say that, or you allude to the fact that we have this misconception about being an expert that really you only have to be like 1 or 2 steps ahead.
That's right.
Above the people you lead. Explain that to me, because most people, I feel like I got to know it all if I'm going to teach something.
Oh yeah. I think we live in a culture where experts they have to have a degree. They have to have the credentials. They have to, be in the right position. And the reality is we're all experts in our own lives. Like I'm an expert at being me. You're an expert at being you. And that's kind of where it starts, is realize that you know some stuff.
Mm.
And I think of the example of my 2 boys that are always playing video games. One's 15, one is 11. And the 11-year-old is always, and it's not always the older one asking the younger one or the younger one asking the older one, but one of them's like, how did you pass that level? And then the other one's like, well, I did this and this. And in that moment, he is an expert to him. And that's really all you have to do is share with people things in your life that you've kind of gotten figured out or you've tried. Sometimes sharing and talking about your failures can be a way to help other people too. You don't have to be this perfect, insta-perfect person on social media and everything to be an expert. You can still be a humble person that's like, hey, I tried this and this worked. And that may be your leadership style too. You don't have to embrace this I'm perfect Tony Robbins. I mean, not everybody is that. And I think that's why people look at someone like that and like, well, I can't be like that. But you might be able to be more like an Oprah, where you just talk to people and you interview people and you bring people together, and maybe that's your expertise. I think we discount what expertises are too. We all think it's got to be, well, I'm good at accounting, I am a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
No, you might be an expert at getting out of debt, dealing with a divorce, overcoming death. I mean, there's so many other things that we become experts in because we have to overcome them. So
yeah,
that's where I like to start, at least.
Yeah, well, and speaking of start, when you started the book, I think the first question you ask in the book is, what is a business? And
that's right.
People say it's, I have this, you have money, we'll trade.
Yeah.
Right? And that really got me thinking as well, like, what is a business? And I don't know that we are able to answer that fully, because it can be a lot of things. And I think you just alluded to that it's so much that people just need help with. And as long as you're helping someone.
Yeah.
I also want to move into this too, because this is a big problem these days. I think you talk about nobody wants fake people solving their problems. And you just mentioned that, like being real, admitting your failures.
That's right.
Do you think we have an epidemic going on in the entrepreneur space of fakers?
Oh, for sure. We have the statement that everybody thinks is how you do it, which is fake it till you make it. And that is such like crap. It's such a terrible way to look at things, because if you do make it, now you become a fake person. And who wants to be around fake people? Who wants to trust in fake people? Because eventually that gets exposed. I like to say, believe it until you achieve it. Like, believe you can do it is the same thing in your mind as what they used to try to say is faking it. But you need to be real with yourself. And I think we're going to see a trend in where fake social media is going to be so obvious all the time that all of us are going to be over it. So being real and authentic is kind of going to be the next trend in social media, but like truly being authentic, not faking authenticity. That's the other thing. People attempt to fake authenticity, which is like blows me away.
It's almost even worse.
It can be. I think people are able to do it through video a lot, but then you meet those people in person and you're like, whoa, that's not the person I thought that they were.
Yeah. I think the big problem I have with fake it till you make it is you have to continually fake it because you never arrive.
That's right.
So it's like success. You never achieve success. It keeps, it's the carrot on the stick, Yeah. So when I see exactly what you're saying, and I see a lot of people out there that they fake it to a certain point, and then they get $1 million or they help them, whatever, and then they have to keep faking it because now they're going after the next thing.
That's right.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I want to jump into the reason that I reached out to you. You put a video up, and this kind of ties in with faking it. And it was for me, I watched it 3 or 4 times. I just thought it was powerful. But to allude to the fact of being authentic, you're kind of sitting like you are now, just talking. And it didn't seem scripted. In fact, I don't have no reason.
It was. I'm assuming. No, I never do scripted. I can't. I sound like a robot when I go scripted.
But you were talking about being a seed and being buried. And what brought on that thought of you were planted, not buried?
Yeah, I think just coming into a new year and like thinking about, okay, here's what I'm going to do this year, thinking about the year before. Last year I sold my ownership in Kajabi, and it really has made me kind of go inwardly and be like, all right, what am I going to do next? Where am I? What's next? And there's been a lot of negative things that I'd focused on, and it didn't get me anywhere focusing on them as negative things. And we were watching some documentary on something, and this guy was talking. In the back of his house was a small plaque that said, they thought they buried us, but they planted us. And I grabbed a hold of that. I kind of reworded it a little bit myself, but that was a huge shift for me that had been happening for months. But to put it into words and to see that quote, I was like, this is it. And basically the theory is this: there are people, there are circumstances that try to bury you, and you try to bury yourself. Sometimes you're the only person actually grabbing the shovel and burying yourself.
Right.
And when you embrace the fact that it's okay to be in that dark place of being buried, you realize things like an oak tree cannot be, or an acorn cannot become an oak tree unless it's buried. And all seeds have to be buried. And that's when I thought, I'm the seed. I'm not buried. I'm in a season of darkness because I don't know exactly what's next. I'm working on all kinds of awesome stuff, but it really is this dark time that can be wonderful if you just embrace where you are. And darkness means this: you can't see what's next. Being planted means there's going to be a lot of fertilizer or crap around you, and you have to embrace that. And a good seed needs that fertilizer. And the next thing is start looking for light, like any kind of light, and realize I'm heading towards that. But ultimately, the thing that I said that I think with me, I still think about is the seed already has DNA inside of it that knows what to do. And there's something powerful about us doing that and being still and really knowing that something, God, I truly do believe in God. You asked me earlier about religion, but God is definitely trying to push us somewhere. And if we can rest in the fact that there's something inside of us that in the right moment, under the right conditions, will break free and become the oak tree or whatever God has planned for you.
I'm really happy you shared that story in that video with us, because I think a lot of people, at least, I watched it and I was like, this is because building a business is tough.
It is hard.
It is hard. It is tough. And I had moments definitely late last year where I was like, it's not working. I'm just going to quit,
Yep.
And then something shows up. And if you're attuned to that, then you can really press through it. And you said in the video, I do want to talk about the religion thing for a minute and maybe get some insight there. But you did say in the video that the seed still needs fertilizer, which equivocally is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
and in certain points of my life, dealing with different amounts of bullshit at different levels.
Yeah.
You think there's a threshold of there's just too much bullshit?
Yes, it actually grows better fruit if it has good bullshit in it. I mean, it's necessary, unfortunately. Otherwise, you're a tree with not much fruit and kind of weak.
Yeah.
So embrace the bullshit and be like, that was necessary. It happened. It's okay.
Yeah.
It was part of this.
I think that's what we talk about a lot, or I try to talk about as much as possible, because I think it's something that's dodged. And the talking about to get to that, you have to go through this. And this may be unpleasant in the moment, it may be, but it's building you for something bigger. And that's sort of the optimist in me, I think. Do you think that's an element of a great entrepreneur, a good entrepreneur, or?
Oh yeah. Being able to keep hope is important, because you're going to be in a dark time a lot. If you're truly going to be an entrepreneur and create something from nothing, you have to be willing to go into that darkness and have that hope. And I talk about in the book too, there's certain things you can do to where that hope will always stay alive. Like, don't go into a business that you are not crazy in love with. It's important, because that's the kind of thing that'll get you up early. It's the kind of thing that'll make you work on it late. And that's important because in our society, like, we tend to think that working harder is the way to go. And Gary Vaynerchuk is always talking about grinding, and he's totally right about the amount of commitment it takes. But you have to eliminate things that you don't love to work on. And the way you do that is the same thing I talked about. When you're in darkness, look for the light. Anything in your life right now that you feel good as you're doing it, that is light. Head towards that. I've always thought about that. Someone told me this somewhere. It's like, lean into the good. Like, lean into the good things that are happening. And if nothing good is happening, just be grateful. Because I just saw this quote somewhere: a positive mind, positive thoughts, you're 31% more competent. So you're actually smarter when you think positively.
Wow.
And sometimes when you're in the full darkness of being buried or planted, that's all you have is positive thoughts. And I am always thinking, I want to be here. I want to be at this place. Another good thing to do is find mentors, whether it's someone like yourself that it's all, online and virtually, or whether it's a book that you're reading. That was a huge shift for me. I used to sit in my cubicle all day and just work and listen to music maybe. And then a long time ago, we're talking 2003, a friend of mine was like, man, you should be listening to books. And I found Audible. And that year I listened to the 5 books a month subscription. So 60 books in that 1 year.
Wow.
And it changed my life. Like, that's how you can truly stay positive, because you can see someone else did it. Someone else is already up the trail a little further than you.
I think that's a good point. Controlling. I recently stopped watching the news because I had to. Good morning. I have to control the input and how much that affects me. And I started watching Sports Center. I'm not a huge sports guy. I like basketball in March. I like baseball in October. And so But now I know more about sports than I ever have in my life. But controlling the input makes it more manageable for me to not start
Yes.
my day off like, "Arr,"
Oh yeah.
and how is controlling your emotions just overall, not business related? How does it impact your whole life? When you discovered that, were you bringing home less stress, or was it?
Well, I put myself under a lot of stress because I try to do things that are way beyond myself.
Mhm.
And if I don't keep my stress in check or myself in check, I go to a pretty dark place.
Mhm.
And that I don't want to be in that place. I mean, I think entrepreneurs, there's no net. Like you don't have a boss. You don't have a person telling you anymore, hey, this is what you need to do, show up at this time. And there are some moments that is wonderful and it's awesome and you love it. And then there are moments when you're just like, oh my God, this is just me. And it'll take me to a really depressed place.
Mhm.
And whenever I get there, I try to have things that can help me get back out of there. And it's crazy. There's simple things like, did I eat good today? Like, am I eating crappy today? Or do I need to eat? Sometimes just having like a green juice or eating something healthy and you're like, oh, I feel positive now.
Yeah.
Finding your optimal work time is important. Identifying, are you truly a morning person? Are you a night person? Because the rule of getting up at 5 a.m. doesn't work for everybody. So find your 4 hours or 5 hours where you can just be crazy focused with limited breaks, and you will find yourself getting more done, being in a better space. It's funny. Gary Vee used to say that statement back in 2008. It was in Crush It. And then he's like speaking. I saw some YouTube and he's like, if you want to build a business, you got to quit effing watching Lost.
Yeah.
And back then I watched Lost all the time. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. He's right. And so that's what I did is I did that 7 p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. every night if I could would work. And it's funny because back then I did watch SportsCenter too. And did you know that SportsCenter repeats itself if you watch it long enough at night? So let's say you watch it past midnight. I would just have it running in the background. I'm like, oh my God, I just saw this show 90 minutes ago. Because I think overnight they just keep replaying highlights. And yeah, it was pretty funny.
Nothing news happened, so we'll tell it again.
Well, I think they know, they probably figured this out that every 90 minutes or so, someone goes to bed probably or whatever, and they just start back up the highlights for the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a weird observation. When you said ESPN, I remembered that.
That's funny. That's funny. So the video, you talk about DNA and you talked about God, universe, whatever it is that people out there believe. You and I share the same belief. We believe there's a God. You talked about the seed being buried in the dark, and the DNA just knows that it's going to find the light and grow.
Yep.
And You Inc. in the book, you mentioned that you and the founders of Kajabi met at church. And then in the video, you mentioned that you used to be religious, but you're not anymore. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very conservative Baptist home in the middle of California here. And some people don't even know this, but in the middle of California is huge farmland. It's the San Joaquin Valley. It's the richest farmland, definitely in America. Trillions of dollars comes out of this valley. And I grew up on a little farm in a little town. My dad was a farmer and a teacher and a football coach. So my life was very much like the movie Friday Night Lights. I played football. I lived in this little town full of just small community, lots of church, lots of, now I know, guilt and shame. Back then I didn't know that. I just thought that's how life was. And as I got older and all those myths started kind of being broken. And the thing about the internet now is there are no more myths. And when I say myths, it sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? Like the old things we were told, if they aren't true, they don't stand up.
Right.
And that's what happened to me. My belief system kept breaking down. And I kept going, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that doesn't feel right. I don't think God would be like that. And as I found other people out there, like my favorite, Rob Bell, who wrote like Love Wins and all these great books, he had these YouTube videos. Oh man, it was over 10 years ago. He had this whole series called Pneuma, and it means like spirit. And he had like 20 videos about life and about God. And they were really dramatic. He was ahead of his time. They're like these videos people do now, like these cinematic videos while he's talking.
Right.
And this made me start to believe in God, like the God, not the church God, but the creator. And I've been on that journey. I've probably been on that journey since I was a kid. I mean, in the book, I talk about how I stuttered as a kid.
Right.
So for over 10 years of my life, I couldn't talk. I could barely mutter words. And so that made me very internal. And I spent a lot of time talking to God and asking God, why? Why do I stutter? Why does my family struggle with money so much? Like, I just talked all the time. I even asked God, like, can you show me things? Because I remember thinking back then as a kid that God showed humans throughout all history the mysteries of life. Like, whether it was like the world's round or here's the automobile, here's electricity, like God revealed those. And I remember saying to him, God, what could you show me? Like, could you show me something someday? And I'm not saying like I had this huge epiphany, let's build a Kajabi, but my mind has always tried to be open to what could I do regardless of my circumstances or my education or who I am. I've just always been that way. And I think maybe that's what God wants us to be. Like, I think if God was a creator, he says we're made in his likeness. So then when we're creators, I think we're really being the form that God intended, whatever we're creating, a business, artwork, love in a family, whatever it is. That's the like way of life I think God wants us to live. So that's kind of my journey. That's where I'm at now. I'm very much like I don't know. There's so many people now that I respect that I used to think weren't very God following. I don't want to say religious, but like, gosh, people like Oprah. I'll listen to Oprah sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. And gosh, when I was younger, my parents were like, oh, Oprah, what does she think she is? And I don't know. It's just discovering your own beliefs. It's important for you to do that, I think.
I think it is too. And I think that's, that little piece of the video captured me, part of my own journey. Cause we share similar paths, and I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church. So,
yeah.
Some probably similar teachings on Sundays.
Well, I think my dad grew up in a Southern Baptist church because he's from Oklahoma. So he literally, I'm sure it was passed down.
Yeah.
These very like strict religious rules.
Yeah. And I think, my dad's a businessman. And when I told him what I was doing or started getting into this path, the baby boomer generation, I'm Generation X. He was like, you're going to do what? You're just going to get online and people are going to give you money for you to give your opinion? Like, is that what you're going to do? And I was like, well, basically, yeah. So it was very much a disconnect of business beliefs. And then that kind of spawned this whole thing. What is a hope that you have for what's next for you?
Okay. For me, well, there's a lot of things I'm building, like new apps, some new companies. I just really want to see the things I can feel God telling me inside and see those come to life. Because when that happens, it's powerful. And here's something too, like the whole believe it until you achieve it. Since I was that kind of kid that was always praying, I was always dreaming. Like, I want to see this, I want to see that. And I have a lot of those dreams right now about businesses I'm working on and apps I'm working on. And when you dream like that and then you achieve the thing, it's it really is surreal, as people say. You get to this place you've always thought you were going to get. And I'm just looking forward to those moments again where that's happened. That happened just recently when I launched my book, and the book hit bestseller in 3 categories on Amazon. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I want to keep hitting those things I can feel God telling me inside that seem scary, seem impossible, but I want to keep going after those things. Like, I want to get better and better at hearing God's voice and knowing how to take action based on that.
Yes. Well, I can't wait to see it come to fruition. I know you probably have to be a little tight-lipped about most of it right now, but
definitely.
I can't wait to see it come to fruition. Travis, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I got to share something with you because your book impacted my business. I have a little saying in my business that if you form the belief, you form the commitment, and then you get the outcome. Because of your book, I added on that, you have to start with the hope. And you start with the hope and then you form the belief. And for me, that's just been powerful in not only my business and life, as a dad, as a husband, as an entrepreneur, but with my clients as well. It's come to life. So thank you for that. And just inspiring us to look at the things inside us to bring to the world. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Guys, this is Kevin on the Level. Connect with Travis. Get the book, You Inc. It will change everything you think about. See you guys next time.